Thank you for watching. This is StitchinJenny, and today we're making a project from OESD. It's a lined zip pouch. Here's the pouch. It's completely made in the embroidery machine's hoop. Even the zipper is put in by the embroidery machine. My instructions are a little different from the PDF tutorial that OESD put out for this project. You're going to want to hoop tearaway stabilizer all by itself, and then you're going to stitch the first stitch. Then you're going to place batting over that first stitch, and then you're going to place fabric on top of the batting with the fabric right side up. Next, you're going to let the machine stitch a tack down stitch. It will hold the batting and the fabric in place. We are petting and patting. That is what I call petting and patting. Instead of taping it down, we're smoothing and petting and patting as we go, just to keep ripples out of the fabric. Once it tacks the fabric down, you can press start again. Make sure you have the color thread you want to use because this stitch is going to show. And here we are, a beautiful, nice crosshatch. It's time to take this part of the project out of the hoop. You can tear the stabilizer away from the edges and trim this down so that it has a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then set it aside. We'll use it later. Now hoop another piece of tearaway stabilizer all by itself, and then lay that batting over the hoop. When you press start, it's going to stitch a rectangle directly onto the batting. This rectangle is a placement stitch to help us know where we're going to put the zipper. Now we can tape the hoop off the machine. Do not unhoop the project. We're going to cut inside the rectangle. We don't want to cut through the tearaway stabilizer though. We just want to cut the batting. I'm using my super sharp curved scissors, and I'm being really careful not to cut through the stabilizer. And I'm trimming really close to the stitches. Ta-da! Look at the screen. Do you see that open-ended rectangle on the screen? That's the stitch that's going to tack down the zipper. We're going to place the zipper centered in that little rectangle. We want to make sure the zipper pull is to the right because that's where the open-ended end of that rectangle was. We don't want to sew across those zipper teeth that are going to prevent us from being able to unzip the zipper. Instead, we want to make sure that the zipper pull is hanging past the end of the rectangle and the zipper stop is hanging past the ends of the rectangle. And we're going to center this tape of the zipper in the rectangle. And then we're going to secure this zipper with pink perfection tape at each end. But we're also going to put tape along the edges of the zipper tape, and that's to keep this zipper from wiggling left or right or up or down as the embroidery machine stitches really near those teeth. It's worth the extra tape, I promise. This is ready to go back onto the embroidery machine. We're going to press start, and it's going to stitch that tack down stitch to hold that zipper in place. And I did sew across, you saw that it sewed across the zipper teeth at that other end, but that's okay. That end doesn't affect being able to open the zipper. You're going to take a 7x7 square, two 7x7 squares and two 4x6 squares, and you're going to press them in half. The blue pieces that you saw will become where I'm just petting that right there, showing you it goes next to the zipper. The blue pieces are going to go next to the zipper, and the big piece is going to become the lining. So we're going to put those right there. See? It's important to use anything you can to help make the work easier. This is Wonder Tape. It's double-sided adhesive wash-away tape. It's 1/4 inch wide. I'm stroking it with my nail to kind of help it get more pressed into the fabric so that I can peel that paper off without peeling the tape off. That's the folded edge, and that's going to get placed very close to the zipper teeth. I'm placing another piece of Wonder Tape, and now this piece of tape is going on the lining piece. That was a 7x7 square that got folded in half and pressed, and I'm putting the tape at the folded edge. Turn the hoop over so that you're looking at the back side of the hoop. And look closely at the stitches that are there, because we want the stitches that just tacked down the zipper. And we want to lay that red folded fabric just past that line. At this point, put some pink perfection tape on all 4 corners, or else that piece of fabric is going to flip and twist and get caught in your stitches, and you don't want that. Turn the hoop over, and I'm just going to press it down again because that's securing that tape that's on the back a little better. This is ready now. We're going to stitch right there with the embroidery machine. And there it goes, placing that stitch that's going to hold that fabric in place. We need to check the back, make sure that we also caught the lining fabric as well. There's the back, and I can see that we did catch that lining fabric, so we're good to go forward. We're going to press start again, and it's going to stitch a placement stitch. It's going to help us know where the next piece of fabric is going to go. This is like a patchwork piecing in the hoop kind of a thing. Take the hoop off the machine, but do not unhoop your project. This is 2 inches wide by 6 inches long. These are the pieces that end up being those little accent corners on the project. We need to have the fabric face down though. Now it's face down. The raw edge needs to hang past that placement line about 1/4 inch. Tape down the edges of the fabric. Place the hoop back on the machine, and it's going to stitch right across that edge to hold that fabric in place. This is the fabric tack down stitch. Now we can tear that tape away. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Bonita, who let me film her creating this during our embroidery club. Pull that fabric down, do a finger press, rub that with your fingers, rub that seam, and then you can put some tape on the corners to keep that fabric from shifting. Everything we just got done doing, we get to do again. This time I marked the back so you could see better where the stitches are. We want to put that lining fabric again, the folded edge of it, just across that stitch line, because that's where the fabric needs to be so it can get caught so that it can be secured. Ta-da! Once you have it in place, put some pink perfection tape on all four corners. It's important to put it on all four corners, or else your fabric could flip and roll and get caught in a place you don't want it to get caught. And we already stuck the front piece to it. I just didn't film that part. So now we're ready to reattach the hoop and press start again. It's going to stitch the fabric tack down stitch. And at the same time as it's sewing the blue fabric in place, it should be catching the red fabric that's on the back. And it did. We caught the red fabric on the back, so we have succeeded with attaching a lining. But we're not done. There's more to do. Put the hoop back on the machine and press start again so it can give us a placement line for our next piece of fabric for the patchwork part of the front of this lined zip pouch. Now we have our placement line so that we'll be able to put the next piece of fabric on the front. Again, the fabric needs to be right side down. That's pretty side, put it pretty side down or right side down. And that raw edge of that fabric needs to hang past that placement line about 1/4 inch. That's the tack down stitch for the fabric. It's going to secure that gray fabric in place. And then let's flip that fabric to the back and finger press that seam again. The next stitch, as you can see, is this one. It's going to hold down the front pieces so that you don't have to have tape on the corners anymore. It's also going to catch the lining pieces on the back. So before you do this step, you might want to check the back and make sure all the tape stayed in place and it didn't roll anywhere that it shouldn't have, the fabric didn't roll anywhere that it shouldn't have rolled. Never hurts to double check before you press start. Then this is the decorative stitch. So press start and it's going to fill up that blank space with that pretty design. Ta-da! It's beautiful. We're not done though. You need to go ahead and take the hoop off the machine, but don't unhoop your project. Just take the hoop off the machine. And then you need to open this zipper halfway. It's very important. Now you take that back piece that you trimmed to a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're going to lay it on top of the project face down, so right sides down. And it's kind of important to get this centered over the base piece that's still hooped. So I found that if you fold this little guy in half, where the points, where you can see the points at the top and bottom edges, then you can put the points centered on the base piece, and then you can unfold it and you know you've got it in the right spot. Put some tape around all the edges, or as many edges as you want to put tape. But wait, there's more. We still want that last lining piece. It's a 7 by 7 square. It's going to go, and if it had a print, you'd want to make sure the print was right side up. So you shouldn't be looking at the wrong side of your fabric. You should see the fabric right side up. And now it's going to do the final step of the embroidery stitching, which is to sew all those layers together. At this point, you should have your zipper halfway open underneath all of that. Otherwise, you're going to have a really lumpy, weird coaster because you won't be able to turn it right side out. So that's why you make sure that zipper's open. And just unzip it halfway, because if you unzip it all the way, your presser foot of the machine could smack into it at the other end. You don't want that to happen either. More petting and patting and smoothing. Ta-da! Now we need to cut those excess zipper tapes at the ends. Cut them close to your project. And don't use your good fabric scissors on cutting a zipper. Get some cheapy scissors for that part. Now trim this perimeter 1/4 inch seam. Here's one that's already trimmed. She's got cutaway stabilizer in there. It's a no-show cutaway that you could use that instead of tearaway, but you do have to cut it away, which is what she's doing. She's cutting close, 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 as close as she can get, and she'll just cut that out. This is tearaway. So my friend Bonita is going to get it started with the scissors and then tear it out. After it's torn out, you can flip this guy right side out and it would be done. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out StitchinJenny.com for more tutorials.